Simon Nash. Simon Danczuk, let's go to you first. Chris Hope made the point there that Labour are trying to, or the Labour government at least, is trying to argue that Greens simply don't have the resources to replicate their victory across the country during the local elections and perhaps looking forward to the general election. And Zach Polanski, Green Party leader, points out that Gorton and Denton was 127th on their list of Green Party target seats and yet managed to have this victory. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think they put I went up there and spent a little bit of time campaigning up there and saw what it was like on the ground. No doubt about it, the Greens put a lot of effort in there. But I think it's right to say that they would struggle to replicate that throughout the country. I think Reform and indeed Labour are much more resourced to fight a general election throughout the country. I mean, the bigger point here is that this is an unmitigated disaster for Labour. I mean, it's the result. Their voters halved from the general election. This was one of their safest seats, and Labour have thrown it away. They've come third. And indeed for the Conservatives as well, they've lost the deposit. I mean, the two main political parties, it's been disastrous.
It is, as Chopper said, seismic. So we've got a brace of Simons in the studio. I think we're all going to identify as a Simon by the end of this debate. Simon Nash, I mean, you're on the side of the Greens. I mean, you are a Green spokesperson, aren't you? Not for the party themselves, but you support all Green things. How do you think... Is this a victory for the Green Party?
It is.
Is it a victory for divisive politics?
I think this is a great victory for environmentalism, generally, and I think it's a great victory...
trees once.
Well,
wasn't a tree mentioned?
It's all in the manifesto, all the good green things that they want to do. And it's a great victory for the left as well. So if you look at the actual figures, I mean, Labour did just become just slightly below Reform, despite all the effort by Reform UK put in. So it's almost 25,000 votes for the left versus about 10,000 for the right-wing party. So I think it's a big leftist victory, and it shows that the values of the Green Party are valued. They say that the Green Party is the heart of Labour. It often ends up driving Labour policy. And I think people care about the environment. They see the climate crisis, and that's why they've voted that way. And I think with tactical voting in the future, it could be, you know, potentially a Labour-Green coalition in the future. And that's something to watch for.
I mean, Simon Danczuk, what I heard on the doorstep and from what people were saying in the area is a lot about what was happening in Gaza and how Reform were going to be more Islamophobic. I didn't actually hear anything about the environment.
No, the Greens didn't campaign on the environment at all. I think Nigel Farage is right to say that the Greens campaign was very sectarian. And the worst example of that, I am very sad to see the Greens being apologists for Islamic terrorists. You had Hannah Spencer during this campaign quite clearly state that the MEN arena bombing was due to right-wing rhetoric. Well, that's just trying to cover up for the truth, which is it was an Islamic extremist that committed that abhorrent crime. And I think that's a...
Sure, I just need to clarify exactly what Hannah Spencer said. So it was during a BBC debate with Matt Goodwin, the Reform UK candidate, who was talking about Islamist extremism, and that led to the Manchester Arena bombing. And the quote that Hannah said in response is, "Because people like you are dividing people." That's what she was saying to Matt Goodwin. Now, she later clarified, saying that she condemns the attacker and points to security service failures.
Yes, well, I've made this point. But that's not the only example. They were campaigning very heavily on Gaza. I'm sure most people, a majority of people in Gorton and Denton, are more interested in what will be done for the local area. So it's definitely sectarian. The video that was put out showing pictures of President Modi against Keir Starmer, trying to insinuate that the Pakistani and Bangladeshi communities wouldn't like seeing Modi because he's an Indian president. I think that's divisive. So a lot of divisive politics, very unhealthy for British democracy, I have to say.
Simon, what do you say to the accusation of sectarian policy?
Well, that is divisive, but I do think the Gaza issue is one close to many people's hearts. If you're a Christian, you think you should love your neighbour, and you don't like the war crimes being committed by Israel, and, you know, the government has been supporting that to an extent by allowing arms exports. I do think that's a legitimate thing to talk about. I don't think it's entirely sectarian. It's more just like, I don't like people being killed by bombs.
Do you not think there was anything sectarian in that campaign at all?
Well, there was, and like you were saying, that was hinted at sectarianism, but I guess Muslim people can be more aware about the Gaza issue on average, and I think that's something to be played into, and that's probably okay. You're not saying, like, vote for us because we're going to build more mosques or because we're more Muslim. It's like, no, on Gaza, you care about this. You've seen it in the news. Reform don't seem to care about that, and that's why not mention that? It's foreign policy, right?
What do you make of some of the leaflets that Green were putting through people's doors being in Urdu? Is that appropriate in a British election?
Good question. I was not aware of that, but I don't see why not. If it gets to the older people who would have come from Commonwealth and Empire countries, who would kind of have been British when they arrived anyway, I suppose why not? People should be encouraged to learn English, but why not? So if they're entitled to vote and they're here legally, and they would only be allowed to vote if they are here legally, then why not print it into a different language?
Can we just have a quick word on the family voting, which is another accusation aimed very much at this? I mean, a rival news channel, not GB News, reported on the fact that men were helping their wives into the polling booths to help them vote, burqa-clad women.
Democrat Volunteers organisation, independent, objective, they've estimated that 12% of the votes cast have involved what's called family voting, which, as you point out, is really somebody trying to influence somebody else to vote by going into the booth with them. That's completely against electoral law. Why the presiding officers at each polling station didn't act on it, I don't know, but it's a serious concern that needs addressing, as does postal voting. There's some really irregularities in our voting system that need tackling.
It's certainly odd that they didn't flag it until after the polls are closed, but we've run out of time, I'm afraid, so former Labour MP Simon Danczuk can bear. Simon Nash, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. A brace of Simons there for you.
Indeed.
OK.